There's a space that appears. From nothing, a space appears, which sounds a bit odd. But the space appears because of the lines. And the lines are merely just being lines, really. There's a physical act to it. It's almost like a performance, except no one sees it. And there's balance in the painting. And when I stand back, that's the little chat that me and the painting have, me and the work, that we just, it says, stop, carry on. It all began quite strangely, really. I remember being a young guy and going into Preston town centre and seeing the fantastic old art school there. And I saw these cool art students in the sunshine, talking and making artwork, and I thought, that looks pretty good. I think I'd like to do that for a living. Went on, spoke to my father, and he said, yeah, go for it. I've made art ever since. It's been a part of who I am. I used to climb quite a bit, and it feels the same kind of motion as climbing, but it's about letting go of the mind as well. Sometimes you've got to make a mark, and you've got to make the mark. And part of you will be going, oh yeah, do that, or don't do that. And working like this is nice because I don't have to think about it. It is quite difficult when you start thinking, oh, I'm just painting lines, what does it matter? And the truth is, it doesn't matter at all. My current work is about less, really. I'm trying to make a powerful quiet. The works are quite contemplative. I think about the work in a different way that you might do figurative work, where you're trying to capture something and make things look like things. I paint things about non-things, about non-places. I went to the Tate Gallery in Liverpool and saw an artist called Nasreen Mohammadi, and it shook me to the core, just the simplicity of her work, but it was so powerful. I literally ran out of the building and came to the studio, and I had to make work to respond to what I'd seen that day, and I've not stopped yet. If I think about anybody else when I'm making the work, if I imagine an audience and what they might be saying, I couldn't make it. So I can only ever make the work for me. What is fine art? That's a fantastic question, a difficult question. It's different things to different people. To me, it's a way of exploring and making sense of the world and offering up that as a viewpoint for other people to maybe consider. That's what fine art is to me. It might be different to you, but I like to work, be cyclical, move down the line. And when that's dried off, I'll start to turn it round and change it about a bit. And these are on paper, so these are like little test pieces, but they're ultimately finished pieces of work in their own right. I don't believe I've started a piece of work where I've thought, this is exactly what I'm going to do, and at this point it will be finished. Everything I start is a huge experiment that either blows up or fizzes out or stops quietly. I think being able to fail and see what happens when you fail is such an exciting frame of mind to have. Everyone should try it. Failure is fantastic when we're doing this kind of stuff, because you produce really interesting outcomes, so everyone should embrace it. Usually what happens is I finish painting and I'm happy, and then just as I'm about to go out the door, I'll make a slight change, and then I've ruined the entire day. But then I come back the next day and it's not so bad. Mindset's an interesting thing. Sometimes you just sit quietly with a piece of work and you'll be looking at it and it's almost like there's a conversation going on. The work will tell you what to do next. It's almost like I'm along for the ride. After a certain point, the paintings make themselves, the drawings make themselves. You just have to be perceptive to them. You need to listen to them. Sometimes I'll think I'm thirsty, sometimes I'll think I'm hungry, and you know, but all the time I'll be thinking about the work. So it's an interesting process. Mindsets are useful sometimes, but no mind is useful sometimes, where you just sit quietly and listen, and the work forms from that point. Yeah, I think that's work. That's taking it somewhere else maybe. When I was doing my degree, I had a fantastic time and I loved working with other creative people. While I was doing that, I did find myself helping people. I would always talk to artists and give them ideas for research or other artists to look at, and it was incredibly satisfying when they achieved. So helping them achieve their goals was incredibly fulfilling to me, and that's been the driving force of my entire life since then. Helping people to achieve their own personal goals. What can be better? And the spin-off of that is that I achieve mine. It's the perfect win-win situation. It's fantastic, I love it.